The advice and opinions expressed by Dr. Granpeesheh and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is the
Dr. Doreen is an expert in autism.
Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh.
Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is a visionary in the field of autism. Now you can ask her questions on Ask Dr. Doreen.
But one of the questions we had from somebody, this really struck a chord with me. They said, I'm not a teacher, so I don't naturally think of things to do with my kids when they're at home. Is there a class I can take or to learn how to, or a site that tells me exactly what to do? What advice do you have for the people who aren't thinking about, they haven't worked in the field of, okay, this is how I engage a child and keep them engaged? A lot of people put the kids in front of the television set. Or an iPad.
Yeah, and that's a great question, because honestly it's not one that I had ever thought of before, like that it's an issue for parents to know kind of what material to present or what exactly to do with their child. So I think depending on the age of the child, there's a lot of resources out there, right? So if your child is, I would start, I mean, like, this is just an example, I would start with just buying workbooks. Right, workbooks are really easy. We actually have a lot of worksheets on our, I think on my website, which is one of the resources that I want to make available to parents. It's also on Skills, because I think that worksheets, not to just put a worksheet in front of a child and then leave them, but to give you an idea of the type of stuff that your child should be engaging in right now, because it's important to be age level. And when I say age level, I don't mean chronological age. When you're talking about a child who has, let's say, a disorder like autism or some other thing going on, ADHD, whatever it might be, you want to give them material that is at their mental age level and then start to gradually make it harder or higher levels. So a child might be 8, but their level of functioning might be 3, and you want to start at what a typically developing 3-year-old would be so that it's not like way beyond the child's capability. It has to be within something that they can engage in, right? And that could be, and then you gradually, as they master that, obviously, you go higher and higher. But you want to make it so that the child has different types of input. So, for example, it's one thing if you're doing, let's say, calculations, right? So for those of you who like Sudoku, I always mispronounce that, that's all pure math calculation, right? So that has to do with one part of your brain and one type of functioning, which happens to also be the same area of your brain that is activated with music. So you could either do math or music, right? And those both are really working on one particular area of your brain. The other things could be just, word-related problem solving. And again, it goes back to the child. Like if it's a younger child, you want to do things like drawing. That's a very creative. You want to also give the child the ability to develop their creative side. We were just talking about Chris and how creative he is, right? So there's all these different things. You also want to maybe see what the child is interested in. A lot of children are interested in mechanical type things, right? And you want to be able to give them the opportunity to build, for instance. Those are all developmental things that you can do. And I'm sure these days, obviously, if you Google that, like my child is 3, what types of activities are good for him, it is really just about not letting the child drift off, right, as you said, and keeping them very engaged. Skills, of course, the platform that we built does go based on kind of mental age. So it starts with asking the parent a lot of questions about the child's capabilities, and then it gives you a list of lessons that you can engage your child in. You don't really need something like that. You can also just go with stimuli that are for sale. As you know, Shannon, one of the things we're doing now is we are partnering with Stages Learning, and they have fantastic materials that we will be making available to our families. And these are all very, very important for a child's development. I don't think people realize, I was looking at the Stages material and I love them because they are very well made and they have beautiful cards with pictures, but they also have three-dimensional objects. Like there's a picture of a sheep and there's an actual plastic sheep. It's really identical and looks really, really good. One thing I'll tell you as a parent is that when we do IQ tests, tests of intelligence, we use very much the same material. It's very similar to that. So becoming familiar with these types of materials for kids automatically helps them be much more comfortable when someone is testing their intelligence, right? Because they've already seen these and so on. So there's lots and lots of resources for parents. It's just a matter of, I think the biggest issue is to schedule the child, especially like, if you remember, we pulled out all our worksheets when COVID first started, right? And it was hard for parents to keep their children busy. And that's what it is. It's about scheduling, and make sure that you schedule, you give free time, like motor activity as well. So like you do a little bit of sitting down, then maybe a little bit of running around outside, biking or whatever, then coming back, maybe, making some food with you, like different types of activities, but just keeping the child busy.
And put it on a visual schedule so the child can see what's coming.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can watch Ask Dr. Doreen live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We hope to see you there.